Dependency, and you're listening to the Dan Chan Show on Hard Rock Hell Radio.
Okay, I'm joined by Aidan, Ogie, Jared from State Dependency. You're my first South Africans on the show, so that's pretty cool. How's it going?
Good, man.
Yeah, we're good, Dan. Thanks for having us.
No, it's a pleasure. So I picked up on you from some articles regarding bands to watch out for in 2021. Are they right?
Yeah, we are hoping that 2021 is going to be the year of the state, and we're obviously all trying to keep our fingers crossed for hopefully some touring opportunities, even here in South Africa, but also abroad. But you know how it currently is with the global lockdown, or down here it's gotten quite hard.
Well, I've got a question regarding that, so we'll come to that shortly.
Great, yeah, but we are doing our best, and we're just trying to stay active, and we are writing some new music. And it was great to get some exposure through the Metal Hammer blurbs that we got in the last couple of weeks, especially the one that you just mentioned about the up-and-coming bands for 2021.
Yeah.
It was really great that they gave us that exposure, and we're very happy about that. And, they also, we did submit a couple of tracks through a compilation album that we sent up to you guys, or to the UK.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of really great African bands. There's obviously a whole bunch of them that are actually from South Africa. But that's essentially how we ended up on your shores. And it's really great that we've been able to get some traction on our music. And, we're actually looking forward to potentially even coming up that side and doing a bit of a tour as soon as we've got some space.
For sure. So do you think it's hard to be recognised as a South African artist?
So to answer that question, it's hard to be recognized as a unique South African artist.
Yeah.
With obviously no arrogance involved there. Everybody is trying to buck the trend of European and American standards. So we love our American and European counterparts, but we try our best to be as unique as possible.
Yeah. So, I mean, how do you think you get about doing that?
I don't think there's a real formula to it, though. I think a lot of it is just, just trying to stay as genuine and honest as possible.
Yeah.
And to try and not worry about what other people are doing, and kind of just focus on what you are trying to achieve and whatnot. But yeah, it's like I say, the industry is kind of weird in the same sense. But I mean, I think the whole thing is to kind of just stay true to what you want to do, and the music that you are putting out there. And yeah, it's like I say, I don't think there's an actual formula to it, to be honest.
So sticking to the theme, what's the South African scene like?
It's an interesting one. It's growing quite a bit, let's say that, especially in the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
We've gotten a lot of exposure to international acts that have also come to our shores. Metallica's been here twice.
Yeah.
Lamb of God, Bring Me the Horizon. We've had Die Artist Murder come to our shores. I think that was back in 2018, one of the most intense shows that we've been to.
Yeah.
So we've gotten good exposure through international acts actually coming here.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you think about it, we're on the tip of Africa. So for somebody to come all the way from, London or New York to come and play a show down here is a big thing for us.
Yeah.
But everybody really, really appreciate it. Especially the alternative scene. Everybody is super grateful whenever we bring international artists. But, just to answer your question, it's difficult to try and carve out a niche, especially in our scene, because everybody is, obviously very inspired by what's going on abroad, be it Europe or be it in the States, or even in some cases in Brazil and Australia.
Yeah.
We've also actually had some weird inspirations come out of Japan, but that's another story. So yeah, we are trying to obviously carve out our own niche to put our own stamp on it, on the metal genre as Africans, and obviously South Africans in our case. From what you've likely heard, we do our best to make sure that our sound stands a little bit taller than most, at least in our genre and in our scene. But we can definitely say that bands here have improved drastically.
Yeah.
The standard has gone up in the last 20 years on quite a level. If you think about it, we were not very exposed to the international scene prior to the mid-90s, whereas Europe has been very well exposed, so have the States. So we really try to move as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So if you do a little bit of digging, Dan, you'll find many South African bands that have actually really pushed the boundaries with good music, and we're friends with many of them. We're on a personal basis with a lot of the guys.
Yeah.
There's some brutal death metal bands that are in the Western Cape, down in Cape Town. Some of them have got big exposure and have actually toured to Europe. I think one of them played Hellfest. And we've also had, we've sent up a whole bunch of bands for Wacken So cool. We've done well, Dan, in terms of growing.
I need to get down to South Africa, not just for the music, but for the wine and the meat.
Yeah.
Yeah? Bit of biltong, a bit of barbecue.
You got to start in Joburg so we can show you the dodgy places.
Absolutely.
Go down to Cape Town for the wine.
So you guys formed in 2007. Has it been on and off since then? That's 14 years. It's quite a long time to be crafting.
So 14 years on the boat. Unfortunately, we're old weathered souls together. Obviously, I'm speaking as the newest member because they just took me on as a lost puppy when the original bassist left. So Dylan was originally part of the band.
Yeah.
Great bassist. He actually got the band together. I joined, obviously, early 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
But this has been a trudging through the snow, if you can call it that.
Yeah.
State Dependency hasn't stopped. We may have seemed quiet, but that's mostly because we're poor, because we're from South Africa. But under the covers, we've been rustling along, hey?
Yeah, because you've released...
rate really gets to us. It's kind of a bummer if you have to think about it. You know, a single quid is $20 for us. And $20, I mean, that's basically like half a box of smokes. I mean, I'm not quite sure what it's like up there, but the exchange rate really kicks us quite hard.
Yeah, I bet. And you've released a mix of EPs, singles and full length since you started. What's on the horizon for this year? Do you have any label representation or anything? Is that what you're looking for?
We've got some things in the pipeline and whatnot, but we are obviously working on new material, looking at our songs or our music in a bit of a different light as well.
Yeah.
But we do have a lot of stuff planned for this year. We're pushing hard to really get a lot of stuff out. And like I said, I don't want to say too much, but there is definitely a lot of stuff in the pipeline.
That's
for
cool.
us this year.
I mean, you just touched on it, but your production is top class. You know, do you use the same studio? How do you like to record?
Well, we've used a number of different studios over the years, and like you say, we've had quite a long track record, but there's been obviously some downtime in between. Yeah. But we've used some studios that actually are at the national broadcaster right at the beginning of our journey, and it didn't sound as good as what we wanted. And then we started to go to independence. Our first EP, Divide the Week, we used one studio, and then when we did our Premonition album a few years later, we used a different studio. And then more recently, in the last 2 years, we've released a bunch of singles, and each one of them has been through different recording artists and engineers. We're just looking to get as good a sound as we possibly can, and also looking for the right people that will actually understand how to record us and how to go about the process. So I mean, we've used a whole bunch of guys, and one pity is that we weren't able to master our album Premonition, and we've actually gotten a lot of positive feedback, especially in the last year, funnily enough, over lockdown, with people saying that, this is great, you guys should have actually mastered it. So that could potentially be in the pipeline, but, I'm not going to go into any detail. Like Aidan was saying, we're actually more busy with working on a whole bunch of other things, and just trying to progress as best as we can during this period.
Cool. So, I mean, what do you guys focus your lyrics on? Because obviously South Africans have a rich history, reputation for being strong, forward, and at times aggressive. Do you feel your heritage comes through your music?
Yeah, well, I think automatically it does, or subconsciously it does.
Yeah.
But obviously, a lot of the time, I think our lyrics come from a very personal standpoint and a personal perception of what's our environment and what's going on in the world, obviously, but I mean also just at home, what I mean. It's I don't think it's really always thought about in that sense. I think it's pretty much based on whatever's inspiring you at that point in time and where you are in your life and whatnot. So
Does the name of the band have anything to do with the home country as well? I mean, how did that come about?
It's most of our ideas just come off the cuff. But in that particular case, like Aidan's saying, being down here really has a different influence on what you end up writing about and how you perceive what you're seeing in the world. And obviously we're in a completely different setting than most people, especially those that are in Europe or the US, that's, the West, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
But if you're down here, you see things that you wouldn't normally see in those countries. And it has quite a bit of impact on you. And for us, putting it out in the form of music and then obviously layering it with all the personal experiences and lyrics, it actually speaks to a broader audience with everything that we have to deal with on a daily basis. And you could come down here and I can say that the environment is not going to be poor. It's not going to be bad. People are very welcoming, but just the general thing about economic development is different. We can say that. So we build around what we experience.
Yeah. So, how's the pandemic been in South Africa? I mean, you mentioned earlier that things have been quite hard. How's it been?
Well, we've actually just recently, in the last week, entered into what our government terms lockdown level 3.
Right.
Now, without going into too much convolution, it's kind of like pulling up the dials up and down the entire time. That's basically what they've been doing over the last year, and they just raised it back up after dialing it down for 9 months.
Yeah.
So basically where we're at the moment is that we are quite confined. We can't be outside after 9 p.m.
No pubs.
We can't drink.
Nah.
No shows. Yeah.
There's obviously no live shows. So it's pretty tough. I mean, it's very, very similar to what's happening currently in the UK.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a mirror image, but not as intense. And if you get out of the cities here, Dan, it's not as populated. In the country here, it's quite sparsely populated. So it's mostly the metros that are getting very hard hit.
So what can we expect from a State Dependency show?
So you can, from the three of us.
Yeah.
A lot of power. So what we do, we're not a very boastful band. We're not a very extravagant band at all. If you do see the few videos that we've actually got up on YouTube, which we're trying to obviously increase right now, we put a lot of heart and soul into the music.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of movement from Ogie, obviously, because he's got sticks. I mean, that's what he does. He just beats things.
Yeah.
As you can see, if you ever stalked him on social media, please stalk him. I would love to see the comments because I like to make fun of him.
Well, as a drummer myself, I probably would have some good comments.
Awesome, Dad. Yeah, you must tune him out, dude. But so in a nutshell, because Aiden's obviously our front man, our blue-eyed front man, he's actually got brown eyes. Don't tell him that. He believes he's something else.
Very soulful.
They're soulful brown eyes. Yeah, that's where the guitar tone comes from. It's not the guitar; it's from his
eyes.
Yeah. So basically, aside from him, who's obviously delivering vocals, Ogie and myself try our best to go crazy. We try to funnel our own passion for our own music into the show, and thereby getting the crowd to respond and join us.
Yeah.
It's pretty much, if you had to liken it to an African tribe.
Really?
We beat in the drums together and we want you to dance with us, man.
I like it. So any unusual gig rituals?
We did. There was a stage where we did Jägermeisters before the show.
Yeah.
We realized that Ogie cannot handle his liquor and he was off time for a lot of the show.
That's the problem.
It's just one shot. Jared's exaggerating. It's really not that bad. But, being a drummer, just to, go on to your questions, like with the three of us, with us being a three-piece, you can't really fill the front of the stage.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to also push from the back.
Yeah.
So the way that our show normally pans out is that we are all like really going as intensely as humanly possible.
Full pelt.
So full throttle to the brink where you're actually almost passing out. And I've had a few instances where I've had to stop, get off the stage, vomit, and then come back and continue with the show because I'm essentially blasting through all of my energy just to give as much as possible to the show. So,
and you got to save some for afterwards as well, haven't you?
Don't worry, our McDonald's is 24/7.
So if you could tour with 5 bands, who would it be?
Oh my god,
that's a tough question.
Yeah, I know.
Band number one. I'm taking this because I'm the bassist and I'm the least productive member. So obviously they've disbanded now, but I think one of our dream bands would definitely be Chimera.
Right, yeah.
Mark Hunter and those gents, they were our inspiration. They were part of our inspiration while growing up.
Okay.
We looked up to those guys.
Yeah.
They never achieved the heights that the rest of the bands have, but you know what? We love those guys.
Yeah. 2.
There's no better band than Chimera. It's like, seriously.
Great band.
That one liner, I hate everyone. You can't get another band that is going to get an entire crowd to sing that line. I hate everyone. Like who does that? So for us, Chimera is big. But there's also a number of others. I'll only mention one so that we can go around in a circle. On my side, definitely the Knot.
Okay.
You can't go without mentioning Slipknot as part of one of our very strong influences.
Yeah.
Especially in terms of compositions and trying to get that sound that we really want to make sure that it's sticking out above the rest.
Yeah.
They were definitely a big inspiration. So that's from my side.
Okay, band 3.
I think I would definitely have to say Gojira.
Yeah, Gojira.
Purely for their intensity, and I think that's something that we also try to portray, even though we're a three-piece. And I think it brings a lot more out of us because we're a three-piece. So Gajira is definitely one of them, and they're like one of my also biggest inspirations in that sense, just from songwriting perspectives.
Yeah.
Two more.
Well, let's swing it around. I think Jared's got something there.
Yeah, obviously. So we love these Buffalo men, Brent Hines and the gents from Mastodon.
Yeah.
The ethereal play on their music.
Yeah.
Again, and obviously number 5, I'm going to steal it because Hayden didn't think about it. Definitely Opeth.
Yeah, Opeth. I didn't see that one coming.
We've got a very eclectic mix. Our bands are very intense yet very ethereal. What we try to do, again, to labor on your point of if a South African band, what do you see as your inspiration? It's all about the diversity we see in our everyday climate. Everybody is striving to achieve something, yet all of us are achieving nothing, if you can put it that way. So the goal is just to make yourself happy and push forward, and then try to share that happiness instead of the pain, the sorrow, and right now the isolation. That's our goal.
You guys were nominated for Best EP for the 2019 The Healing Process at the South African Metal Music Awards. How did that go?
The South African Metal Music Awards is all about popular vote in our scene. So obviously clarifying the fact that we are of a different genre as opposed to our popular counterparts in the scene. You would need your fans to push forward.
Of course.
Yeah, Joe's right. So essentially the way that it leaves is a little bit like in a bit of a tight spot, is that popularity is actually put up above the quality of the music, if you want to call it in a certain way. Now, not to take away anything from any of the other bands, there's a lot of good musicians in South Africa. But it's just a little bit skewed based on votes and, based on how much you can push through social media. And in the context of how big our scene actually is, it's almost like it's not really representative of what's going on. If, for example, you had to push the music further out and you actually had to market it much deeper into various spaces, the chances are it will rise. But because the pool of people that are actually voting is so small, it's inevitably going to box you into a particular space. So actually for us, it's more worthwhile if we're able to push our music abroad. Kind of, we're an export-driven market in that sense. And it's hard to actually break through from that perspective, because us sticking out here is one thing, but us sticking out abroad is a completely different ballgame.
Of course. I'm incoming with some random questions. Are you ready? I want quick answers, all right?
Yeah.
Each of you. So if you could relocate to any country in the world, where would you head?
The UK.
All of you?
No, Ogie's going to go back to Bulgaria.
No, I don't know.
And Morris?
I don't know. For some reason, I'll probably say Austria.
Oh, really? It's random.
Yeah, it is very random.
Home of Napalm Records. I'll get you on there.
Strategic or not, I'm not really sure. But I mean, that is a very good point that you raised.
Okay, next one. If metal didn't exist, what music would you play?
I'd sit in complete silence and cry.
I would just make beats.
Beats?
I don't know. I would
bass.
need something to go with, but I don't know. I would probably just make beats to whatever's busy playing.
Yeah. Is that anything else?
Oh, gosh.
Are we there?
Let's see.
I mean, I'll probably do the whole blues rock thing.
Oh,
I'm still,
yeah.
like very heavily influenced by blues and whatnot. So I'll probably do something along those lines.
Not a covers band then, no? Nah.
No, not a covers band.
Good,
but you know what we could do? There's one thing that we actually been sort of chucking around, and that's taking traditional songs, traditional African songs, and actually making them metal.
Yeah.
But if you take away metal, then it's just traditional African songs. So
like Sepultura type thing.
Yeah, Ogie wants to jump around in a loincloth, we know this.
Join some Viking metal bands. Next one, what's something you think everyone should try once?
To be nice.
I like it. Clever. Clever.
Yeah, well, I mean, down here we've got a whole bunch of things that eat on a daily basis that you probably won't find in many other places in the world. I don't know if you've ever heard of a boerewors roll.
No.
So people should try that.
Uh-huh.
Obviously our barbecues, which we call braais. If anybody really wants to try that, they could, but that's like a very South African thing. Other than that, I don't know. So,
last one. Describe the band in 3 words. You get a word each.
Wow. I mean, let's swing it around. For me, groovy. It's the easiest one that you can definitely associate our band with.
There you go.
Jump around.
That's
and
one.
Have a good time.
One. Next.
Notice how you couldn't just stick it to one word.
There's got to be an explanation,
My one word is ethereal.
Yeah, I like that word. Next.
I don't want to go too obvious and say powerful.
Yeah, cliche, but I like it.
Yeah, it's like power and passion, pretty much.
Yeah, that's two.
Sorry, I had to. I couldn't help myself.
Okay, one song from your repertoire that sums State Dependency up the best.
One of the very, very old songs. It's called Sapien, and it's like one of the foundations of the band. So
cool.
That song, Sapien, is probably one of the ones that, you know, we'd say that is definitely the core of State Dependency. And if anybody wants to know where we started, that's where we began with Sapien.
Cool. Well, guys, it's been a pleasure to chat with you. Let's hope those pundits were right, and let's see lots of you in 2021. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us, man. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks so much.